Okay, now since we have completed all the sections of our website, so we have done everything. The only aspect that needs to be taken care of is making it responsive. So today we are going to make sure that our website is responsive as well. It adapts itself according to changing screen sizes. But before we use any kind of media queries to make it responsive, let's have a look at the measures that we have already taken to make this website responsive without using any media queries. So the first thing that I would like to point out is, let's go to the cake section. Now let's decrease the screen size or viewport size, and as you can see, the content seems to be already adjusting themselves according to the changing size of the screen. Now this is possible because we have used these kind of statements. For the grid template columns, we have used this repeat function, and the value for this repeat function was autofit and min-max function. Now since we have already explained this function in our previous video, so I'm not going to get into the details of that, but this is just a refresher that because of this thing, we are already able to make our website responsive without making or using any kind of media queries. Now the other things that we have already taken into account were using these RAM units. So this RAM means root element, and for this root element we have set the font size to be 62.5%. So generally the font size is 16 pixels, and by setting it to 62.5% of 16 pixels, we have set it to be 10 pixels. And then wherever we use RAM, let's say we have used a unit 1.5 RAM, so that means we have set according to the root element, that is this HTML, we want to set it 1.5% of that size. Since root element is 10 pixels, 1.5 means 15 pixels. But if we set this to even smaller unit, let's say 55%, then everything will readjust their RAM values according to this size. So this is another measure that we have already put into place. Now all we have to do is take advantage of that measure. So let me put it back to 62.5%. Okay. Now let's go back to our web page, and let's see what kind of measures that we need to put into place. So let's start with the top, and let's start decreasing the size. Okay, now when the dimensions are 992 with respect to the width, you can see that the area has shrunk enough such that these menu items cannot fit into this single row. So for these kind of devices, which are usually laptops and bigger tablets, we want to adjust the dimensions of this header section. Let's go to our CSS file, and at the very end, let's define a media query. So the media query starts with @media. Then this @media is followed by some kind of media type. Now this media type can be a screen, or it can be a printer. For that we write print. Another value for this media type could be speech, when we are using text-to-speech devices. And if we want to consider all type of media, so we can use all keyword as well. If we like, we can completely omit this media type altogether. So when we completely omit this media type, that means it applies to all media types. So by default, it's considered this value. So let's omit it, because that will make this media query to be applied to all type of medias. Okay. In fact, let's put it back for a little while because I have to explain something else as well. Okay, now after this media type, we can define media feature. That is, if we want to make this media query to be applied conditionally. When certain conditions are satisfied, we want this media query to be applied, and for the rest of the cases, this media query should not be applied. So if that is the case, then we use an AND keyword, and then over here we can define any type of media feature. So basically this media feature is going to be a condition. It's usually placed in a parenthesis, and then we can define the actual block where we will define all these styles that we want to be applied once this feature has been satisfied or this condition has been satisfied, and these are the media types or devices on which this query should be applied. Okay. Now in our case, the media feature or the condition that we are going to use is going to be max width. So based on the certain width, we want to apply this media query. Let's say the first media query that we want to be applied is when the maximum width is 992. That is, if the maximum width gets lower than this 992 pixels, then we want the rules that we define over here to be applied. So let's make it 992 pixels. Now the easiest way to remember is that basically we want to apply some media queries when our devices are, or when the width of the device is less than 992 pixels. So even though we are targeting devices that have a width less than 992, but the feature that we have targeted is max width. So once the max width gets lower than 992 pixels, we want following rules to be applied. Now because we want to apply these rules to all media types, in that case we don't have to write this part, all end. Okay. So now this media query is going to be applied to tablets and small laptops. Okay, now the first thing that we want to define over here is that for the root element, that is the HTML, we want to decrease the font size from 62.5% to 55%. Now you can already see the difference. That is, all the menu items have finally come up in the same row. That is, all the menu items are again in a single row. So this is because we have changed the font size of the root element, and for the rest of the element, defining font sizes in rems has this effect, because now 1.5 rem means not 15 pixels, rather it must be 12 pixels or 11 pixels, because rem units means with respect to the root element, and we have changed the size of root element. So this in turn has affected all the units that were defined with the rem values. Okay. Now, do you think we need to make any further changes as far as this header is concerned? I think maybe we should decrease the size of this logo as well. So let's go up, and first of all, let's look at the current styles of our logo. So this header logo has an image with height 10 rem. Let's shrink it from 10 rem to 8 rem. So let's copy this block and bring it over here, paste it. Now we are going to keep this border radius same, so remove it. For the height, let's decrease it to 8 rem, and let's have a look. Maybe that's too small. About 9 rem. Yeah, I think that's better. Okay, this seems to be fine. Now let's move on to the cake section. I think we are happy with this one as well. Cheesecakes, we are fine. No, we are not fine. Okay, cakes are fine. Cheesecakes are not fine. Now as you can see, the image size seems to be coming out of these card sides. So we have to go back to the part where we have defined the styles for this cheesecake section and fix it there. Once we fix it there, we don't have to do anything with respect to the media query. So let's go to the cheesecake. Okay, we are interested in the image. Okay, so we have given it height is 20 rem. Okay, so having a fixed height that is 20 rem seems to be causing a problem. Now since we have only defined the height, so that means the width will automatically get adjusted with respect to this height, and setting height to be 20 rem when the width of a card decreases seems to bring these images out of this card. So we have two options over here. We can either decrease the height in the media query over here, or what we can do is that, let's go back to our cheesecakes, or what we can do is that we can set the width to be 100%, that is 100% of its parent. So whatever width it inherits from the parent, that width will be assigned to the image, and now the height will automatically get adjusted according to this width. Now you can see the problem has been solved. Now we had two options. We could either use media query, or we can make adjustments in the default styles. So why go for media query when we have option to fix this problem through the default styles? Okay, so now let's keep shrinking it. Okay, we are not encountering this problem, so we don't need to define any media queries for this one. Okay, now let's go to new arrival. This seems to be doing fine. About, this is also fine. Seems to be fine. Contact is also fine. Okay. Next we have to target small devices, that is small tablets. So for the small devices, maximum width is 768. Okay, now as you can see, we are again encountering the same problem, that is the menu item doesn't seem to be fitting in a single row. So at this point we want to remove these menu items from the header, and we want to bring in the menu icon that we have initially made invisible by setting its display property to none. But now we want to make that menu icon visible, and when we click on this we see a drop down list of these menu items. So let's just do that. First of all, let's define a media query for smaller devices. That is small tablets. 8 media and maximum width is 768 pixels. So let's have a look at the class name that we gave to that menu icon, that is by default invisible. So this is the name that we have given to menu icon. Dot menu icon. Let's set its display property to inline block. Let's have a look. Why isn't it visible now? Can you think of any reason? Let's look for the previously defined rule for menu icon. Okay, so over here we are setting display none. But now can you guess the problem? Well, if you notice, this menu icon is more specific. That is, this rule is more specific because we are saying a menu icon, a class with the name menu icon, which is inside a parent with the class name icons, which in turn is inside a parent with the class name header, make this one invisible. So this rule is more specific. It is telling more information about this menu icon, that which menu icon class we are setting display property to none. Whereas over here in the media query, we were just saying menu icon, so any menu icon. So this is giving us less information. This makes this rule less specific compared to the one that we have defined over here. Where is it? So this one is more specific. This is telling more information, hence it's taking more priority. As a result, this one is not taking any effect. So to fix it, let's make this rule as specific as the previous one. So inside the header section we have a class with the name icons, and there we have a class with the name menu icon. Now set this display property to inline block, and now you can see this menu icon is visible. Okay, so now once this gets visible, we want to make this menu invisible, and when we click on this icon, a drop down list should appear which contains all of these menu items. So let's go to index.html and let's look for the class name where all of these anchor tags are defined. Okay, so all of these anchor tags are defined inside nav element with the class name navbar. So we have to target this navbar. Now since this navbar is a child of header and we have already set its position to be fixed, so once we define the position absolute for this navbar, this header will be its immediate parent. Okay, so over here we have a header class. There we have a navbar class. We want to set its position to be absolute, and we want to set top 100%. So that means right where that green navigation bar ends. So top is 100% with respect to the parent. Okay, now let's put right to be 0. Width is, let's make it 30 rem. Background color is white. For the height, let's give it 80% of viewport height. Okay, so this is how it looks. And as you can see, navigation bar has disappeared from here. However, now the text is invisible because the color of the text is white as well. So let's fix it. We have header, then navbar, and there we have anchor tags. Let's change the color to main color. Let's have a look. Oh, before we have a look, let's fix this spelling. Okay, header, navbar. Okay, good. Now we can at least see the text. However, now we have to make each of these anchor text block elements so that they all get on separate rows. So display is block. Okay, that's better. Now give them margin, heading and font size. So for the font size, let's make it 2 rem. Heading is all around 0.5 or 0.8 rem. Left and right, let's make it 0.5 rem. Okay. Margin is 1.5 rem all around. Maybe too much. Heading all around 0.5 rem. That's better. Okay, now but first initially we want to make it invisible. So the right, let's make it -100%. Okay, now when we click on this menu icon, we want this drop down box to appear. So let's create a class active for this nav bar. So copy paste dot active and set the right to 0 over here. Now we have to attach and remove this active class from this nav bar through JavaScript. So first of all, let's copy paste this and change it from search form to menu icon. The class name is menu icon as well. Let's copy paste it and change this name to menu icon. Now the logic that we have to define over here is that when we click on this menu icon, we want this drop down list to appear and disappear. So the name for this drop down list was this nav bar. So let's create a reference for this nav bar. Let's make this big as well, small. Let's copy paste it, and for the top one, navbar.classlist.add active, search form.classlist.remove active. Okay, now we need to copy this and paste it in the rest of the event listeners. Paste, but over here we want to remove it because when other icons are clicked, so the drop downs are menus associated with them, that they should appear and the rest should disappear. Okay, so we have attached this over here. Copy, we have to attach it with the search icon as well. Okay, so now let's click on it and we can see this drop down list appearing. Let's click over here and this disappeared and our card appeared. Good. Okay, so they are all working. Now next we want to make the search bar get bigger and occupy almost 100% of the width of this viewport. So to do that, let's target the header class once more, and there we have a child with the class name search form. Let's give it width 92%. Okay, now let's have a look. Let's click on search icon. Okay, this is 92%. But now if you notice, this search box doesn't seem to be properly aligned. From the left there isn't much space, and at the right side there is plenty of space. So let's copy paste this part, and when this one has active class attached, then we want to set the right to 1.5 rem. Let's have a look. Let's make it 2 rem. Yeah, that's better. Not better actually. So 92% and 2% makes 94%. So at this side we have 6 rem. Let's change it to percent. But so it's 92% in width, and so that means the 8% of the space is left. Now we have to equally divide this space between left and right side. So let's make it from the right side 4%. Okay, that's better. Yeah, now it's proportionally spaced. Okay, good. Okay, that part is sorted. Now what do we do next? So this is home. Okay, this seems fine. Okay, now if you notice, this text and the image seems to be squashed together, so let's fix this. The first thing that we have to do is that we have to decrease the padding that we have by default for each of the section. So okay, for the section, let's make it padding all around 2 rem. That's better. Now we have to push this image towards the right side. Now since this image is actually the background image of the home section, so home, and we have to set the background position to left. That means we start placing the image from the left side. This will push the dish towards the right side. Okay, good, that's better. The rest seems to be fine. Now cake section, this is fine. Fine. Okay, so everything seems to be fine. Now maybe we should decrease the font size of this text and little bit this one over here as well. So since they are inside this home section, there we have a hero section, sorry, hero div, and there we have this h3, so set its font size to 4.5 frame. That's better. Now copy paste it and change this h3 to p and change the font size to 1.5 frame. That's better. Okay, I think we are good now. Now let's target the smallest screens, that is the handheld devices. So let's go down, smartphones, create media, max width is, so anything 550 pixels or smaller. For that we just want to change the font size, the default rem size for the root element to 50%, and the rest will be taken care of. Okay, so 550. Okay, good, that's better. Okay, I think we are good as far as the responsiveness is concerned. Now the only thing that we have to do is that, for example, I have clicked this search icon, and now if I scroll down, this search icon is still there. So we want the search icon or any drop down icon that appears because if we have clicked it, then we want it to disappear as soon as we scroll up or down, even little bit. So for that we have to go to our script file and we have to define an event listener on window.onScroll. Let's define an arrow function, and all we have to do is that copy any of these, paste it over here, and for all of these we have to remove them. So if navigation drop down menu is visible, make it invisible. If search box is visible, make it invisible, and if the cards container is visible, make it invisible as well as soon as we scroll up or down. So now let's give it a try. Now let's scroll up and it disappeared. Click on this one, scroll, and it disappeared. Click over here, scroll, and it disappeared. Okay, so now everything seems to be working. We have successfully finished our project, and this brings us to the end of our tutorial. I hope you liked it. If you did, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, click on the bell icon, and don't forget to appreciate me through your comments and by sharing with your friends. Thank you so much.